Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We got a not too big a haul this week, so just two videos. We'll be covering, on this video, we'll be covering the X-Men books, the Spider-Man books, and the Absolute Carnage tie-in. So let's get started with Powers of 10, number 3. So, in it, basically breaking from how I thought things were going to actually go, we're getting 2 issues of Powers of 10 in a row, as we had issue 2 just last week. So, where we left off, year 1, Magneto, Xavier, and Moira had agreed to work together for the betterment of mutant kind, as Magneto finally learned the truth about Moira. Year 2. Or year 10. Yes, year 10, House of X. The X-Men learned about Orcus and about its base orbiting in orbit of the sun, and decided that they must destroy it. Year 100. Apocalypse had gathered together the surviving mutants in the Sol system with the plan to find out when Nimrod comes online. Finally, year 1000. The Phalanx arrived, and the inhabitants of Earth asked for ascension. So, let's get started. We open up with a quote, which is accredited to Apocalypse. "I am immortal, and I have no end." That's okay, I could totally see Apocalypse saying that. So we begin with year 100, as opposed to year 1 or year 10. In fact, start off with the Temple of Concordance, the Church of Ascendancy. And a priest is overseeing a cybernetic priest is overseeing his flock. They must reject their humanity. And I'm guessing he infects a baby with a techno-organic virus, but the church is soon attacked by some of the X-Men. Zorn, North, Rasputin, and Cardinal. North is the Magneto Chimera. In fact, it's a chimera of presumably Polaris, Lorna Dane, the daughter of Magneto, and Emma Frost. Actually, it could be her brother, but a member of the Frost family, a mutant member of the Frost family. So that pretty much narrows it down to either Emma Frost or her brother, whose name I can't remember. So the 4 of them attack the church. We get a breakdown of the surviving Soul mutants. Omega Sentinel informs Nimrod the Lesser that the Church of Ascendancy is on fire, but Nimrod really doesn't care. Like, okay, it's burning. Whoop-de-doo. Omega Sentinel says, "Hey, the response seems saying it's the mutants who did it," which does pique Nimrod's curiosity, but yeah. The 2 of them continue to discuss things, and Mega Sentinel goes to take care of the mutants there. Nimrod's like, whatever, I don't care, I'm doing stuff. So the X-Men continue their assault on the church, and the Mega Sentinel arrives with, well, Sentinels. And so Rasputin reveals to us, the readers, that this is all a distraction, as Apocalypse, Wolverine, and Famine, the combination of Doug Ramsey and Krakoa, are being all sneaky and breaking into the archives. And of course now they know exactly where to look to find out when Nimrod first came online. But their presence does set off alarms, and so Nimrod goes down there to check things out. Nimrod arrives, zaps Wolverine pretty good. Back at the distraction, well, it's down to a dying Zorn and Rasputin against the Sentinels. And Rasputin just says, hey, Zorn's got a singularity under his mask. Come any closer and I'll remove the mask. But the Mega Sentinel doesn't believe her. So, Rasputin does it. Unleashing a singularity. The Krakoa Cipher has found the information crystal, and so Apocalypse gives it to Wolverine, tells him to go back to Asteroid K. Saying, you know, go home, I'll be right behind you. But there are 3 Nimrods facing him. So the 3 Nimrods take on Apocalypse. And Wolverine, upon returning to Asteroid K, stands in front of a sarcophagus. And this goes back and forth between the fight between the Nimrods and Apocalypse and Wolverine in the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus is opened, and Moira's inside. Apparently, the rig she's wearing will allow her to be force-fed the information crystal right into her mind. So she's got it, and which means now that the only thing left is for Wolverine to kill Moira, which he does. So ending Moira's 9th life, which makes for an interesting point, as apparently the entire Year 100 plot line has been her 9th life. Anyways, we finish on yet another Apocalypse quote. And should forever end, let me die in battle, surrounded by my fallen enemies and with blood on my sword. We get a timeline for Life 9. Next, once more into the breach. Then, oh crap. Then it will be done. Which is an interesting point, as that is what Cyclops said about the assault on Orcus's base. Alright, moving on to more amusing things. Deadpool Annual #1, which I really don't think is the first Deadpool Annual, but hey, whatever. Let's see. Yeah, last year we had a cable Deadpool Annual, so... But I'm pretty sure that there has been a previous Deadpool Annual #1. But anyways, so... It's part of the Acts of Evil thing. So, we begin with some narration from Nightmare. A boy is wandering through the realm of, well, Nightmare. The kooky-looking guy on the cover there. The one not wearing red and black, or riding on a Pegasus. A unicorn Pegasus at that. So, do you know what makes nightmares so scary? The reason a nightmare clenches your stomach and makes you sweat? why they stay with you even after you wake up? It's because in a nightmare, you're completely alone. No matter what happens, whatever you face, however strange or familiar, in a nightmare, you face it by yourself. And the little boy wakes up startled in his bed. We cut to sometime later somewhere else. Deadpool is playing an arcade game. Vaccination Station. Where he's dual wielding pistols and they're loaded with vaccines that he gets into that he's shooting into kids. And apparently he's going to put as his initials for high score are J-Lo. So mailman approaches him and there's a letter for him. It's from a kid. Dear Deadpool, hello, how are you? Please, if you're free, would you come over to my house and kill my nightmares? I haven't been able to sleep and it is making me sad. I cannot pay you much money, but I will give you my allowance. Thank you, Peter Quincy, age 8. So, Deadpool goes to Connecticut, having stolen the mailman's mail truck. Arrives at the door. And it turns out that Peter is a massive Squirrel Girl fan. He sent her a few letters, but hasn't heard anything back from her. But Deadpool's on the case. So he breaks into the Sanctum Sanctorum to snag the Amulet of Agamotto, but of course he's stopped by Wong, and the two duke it out, and he gets a quick taste of how to activate the amulet. He's got to die, so he jumps out the window onto the street and comes to a nightmare's realm, promptly asking if Neil Gaiman's going to sue over this. Maybe. Turns out that Nightmare constantly revisits past nightmares, such as the one he gave to Marie Antoinette, which he relives the night that her palace was sieged. Then there's one that he gave to Lincoln for every night for 5 months, or for 7 months. But as he describes it, a lonely man who sent thousands of boys to their deaths. Brought him back here to see their graves every night for 7 months. Eventually, after some... Nightmare continues to be, well, Nightmare. Deadpool continues to be Deadpool. And finally, well... Nightmare just wants Deadpool out of his realm. So, they're showing the Nightmare. And Nightmare explains to Deadpool that all he does is create the nightmares within the dream realm. The terror that feed them on the mortal plane are outside of his control. And that, in fact, the nightmare he's been hired to kill is not one of Nightmare's nightmares. So he comes to back in front of the Sanctum Sanctorum, makes his way back to realizing what's going on. What's going on is that one of the neighbors who babysits Peter, young Peter Quincy, age 8, is molesting him. So he makes his way back to Connecticut, popping into hopping into the Quincy house at basically saying, he's called the cops on the guy, and so yeah, he's got police are going through the hard drives in his garage, and well, yeah, things do not go well for dude. So, because Deadpool's Deadpool, he of course, after taking care of the molest pile of shit, he's still gonna, ask for his fee. $7. And of course, Doctor Strange shows up and asks for the amulet back. There's a rather amusing moment where a neighbor tries to hire Doctor Strange for a birthday party, but yeah, no. That is where the issue ends. Alrighty. We're going to hold off for the moment on the Absolute Carnage tie-in and go with the Spidey books. So first off, we've got Ghost Spider #1. So, they could have just dropped They could have just dropped Spider-Gwen from the title and just kept the numbering, but nope. Okay, so where we left off with Spider-Gwen, or well, no, Ghost Spider. Where we left off with Ghost Spider, she had decided to go to college on Earth 616 rather than her home Earth, Earth 65. And Peter Parker, the amazing, spectacular, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, agreed to do what he could to help her out with getting into Empire State University. So that's what she's doing. She's explaining to her band that yeah, she's going to college on a parallel Earth. So yeah, part of this being the fact that on that said parallel Earth, she's not known as a superhero, or at least Ghost Spider has been seen on that Earth, but Ghost Spider has not been unmasked on that Earth. So yeah. So she pops on over to Earth 616, makes her way to Empire State University, where she runs into, of course, Peter Parker, who takes her to the registrar. And yeah, apparently it's no big deal for Empire State University to take on, shall we say, students from locations other than that particular Earth. It's explained that Tony Stark established a scholarship program for aliens, dimensional travelers, clones, independent machine intelligences, and other students outside the norm some time ago. And yeah, Gwen qualifies. Meanwhile, back on Earth 65, Captain Stacy is going back to work as a police captain. Explaining to two of the officers he does not want a welcome back party or anything, just, wants to get back to work. Yeah, the party was already planned. And J. Jonah Jameson shows up because it's J. Jonah Jameson, and he wants his son back. That was actually one of the things in the last arc from Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider was that John Jameson, known on Man-Wolf, fought Spider-Gwen and lost and got arrested. But yeah, there's a court order saying that John Jameson, Man-Wolf, is to be remanded to the custody of his father. Back on Earth 616, Peter and Gwen, in their superhero outfits, are swinging around. They fight a giant rat. And, one of the little girl they save asks, about how Ghost Spider keeps your costume so clean, and she explains this, because it's made of spiders. Okay, yeah, maybe the spiders are a little off-putting, but it turns out that what's going on is what's been going on with her powers is the suit is starving. It needs cellulose. And Peter also warns her, make sure the balance of the relationship between, with the symbiote never tips in the suit's favor. So, back to campus they go. Gwen gets her class schedule. Is about to head home and bumps into an older gentleman, professor, helps him up as she scampers off after helping him back up. It's made fairly clear that that's Professor Miles Warren, better known as the Spider-Man villain, the Jackal, who had an unhealthy fixation on Gwen, cloned her a lot, cloned Spider-Man a lot, cloned himself a lot. Yeah, there was a whole saga about it. That's all you need to know. Back, however, on Earth 65, we get a brief interlude at the end of the issue with Miles Warren of Earth 65, who has one of the spiders from her costume. And he claims that while Ghost Spider may have stopped Man-Wolf, he will stop her. And that is the end of the issue. Not a bad start. Multiple jackals, though. Oh boy, this is not pointing in a good direction. I remember the beginning of the Clone Saga. Now, don't get me wrong, I also remember the Ultimate Clone Saga, which was a much better version of the story. But, yeah, I accept that clones are a thing when, Spider-Man's involved. Potentially a thing when Spider-Man's involved, but it's always kind of do we really have to go the clone route again? Anyway, moving on to Spider-Man City at War, number 6. So where we left off, the Dragon's Breath virus had been unleashed on Manhattan. And Dr. Octopus managed to kidnap Norman Osborn, and Spider-Man was unable to either A, prevent the kidnapping, or B, retrieve the anti-serum for the virus, and in doing so was also seriously wounded. However, things are even worse as Aunt May has contracted the virus. So we start up at the feast shelter. Spider-Man's brought in. And they got to perform surgery on him. They managed to do so without taking off his mask. You know, respect for the secret identity. Meanwhile, Doc Ock is bringing Osborn, climbing the side of Oscorp with Norman Osborn in tow. Two of them arguing. And with Doc Ock basically saying, you know, the world will know the real Norman Osborn soon enough. So while Peter's recovering, Miles talks to him. They just, you know, and then Peter comes to, and yeah. But MJ comes in and tells him that apparently Miles is referring to MJ as simply Spider-Man's girlfriend. And Spider-Man says, well, asks if she set him straight. He's like, no. They hug, and Spider-Man says, hey, I've got to go, you know, I got to go stop Otto. But MJ needs to let him know May's contracted the virus. So he goes off to save the day. May, who's not unconscious, but she reveals to MJ that she's known for a while. And, you know, kind of pushes her in the direction of, hey, look, you know, I love my nephew, but he's always better when he's with you. And so at Octavius Labs, Peter's trying to figure out how to stop the octopus arms and maybe even make a new suit for himself. So he manages to save Osborn from being dropped from the top of Oscorp after making a new suit. And so him and Doc Ock duke it out. Doc Ock reveals that he's aware that, yes, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Spidey's suit gets damaged, but Peter's able to take off the neural interface, which is kind of what's, you know, driving Doc Ock nuts. He gets the anti-serum, takes it back to but he's faced with a decision: use the anti-serum to save Aunt May, or take the time for it to be replicated, which will take more time than Aunt May has. And he he puts the needs of everyone else above his. And Aunt May passes away. So, a few weeks later, Peter and MJ are moving into a place together. Then MJ leaves to get some more stuff, but Miles has something he wants to talk to Peter about. He's been going through some changes, and Peter begins to have the puberty talk with him, and he's like, no, let me just show you. And he jumps on the ceiling because he's got spider powers too. And that is the end of the miniseries. As well as the issue, obviously. Alrighty. And now our Absolute Carnage tie-in of the week. Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool #1. So, okay. First off, a few things. Deadpool has been the host, at least briefly, for I think a total of 4 separate symbiotes over the years. So he's got codex. He's got codexes for each of those 4. Keep that in mind. So we start off with Spider-Man and Deadpool running from a whole bunch of Spider-Man's villains. Apparently, Deadpool was trying to throw a surprise birthday party for Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man's birthday, but well, Deadpool doesn't know when it is. He doesn't know Spider-Man's secret identity. And since he doesn't know his secret identity, he also doesn't know, any of Spider-Man's friends. So he invited all of Spider-Man's villains to the surprise party. Rhino being actually, from what we saw in the first few issues of Miles Morales' Spider-Man, kind of a decent dude, actually did bring a present. Kind of actually looked at him and said, hey, you know what? It's a birthday party. You bring presents to a birthday party. You don't try to kill the person that's, whose party it is. And Jameson's also waiting there, waiting at the party, but yeah. So Spider-Man just tells look, he knows certain terms. They're the little partnership they've got going on, running around together on occasion. It's done. It's done because Deadpool needs psychological help. And lots of it. I mean, tell us, the readers, something we don't already know. But he gives Deadpool John Jameson's card at Ravencroft Asylum. Anyway, so the villains have left. Deadpool goes down and checks out grabs the present that Rhino left. It said Rhino style jacket or hooded jacket complete with a little horn on the hood, and it says Rhino on the back. So weeks later, since Spidey didn't actually get over it, we find out that after numerous unanswered phone calls, texts, several restraining orders, and blocking Wade on face space, well, he finally did get the message. And so he goes to Ravencroft Asylum. Talks to the guard, but not realizing the guard's dead, just thinking he's, kind of pretending to work while sleeping off a hangover. So he goes further in and discovers the aftermath of the escape from the end scene from Absolute Carnage #1. And while Carnage is making his big speech, he applauds the whole thing, and this has got to be some just hardcore immersive therapy. And the production values alone, I mean, the giant symbiotic wolf here looks like he's got real fur and maybe even fleas. So Carnage, of course, tells his cult to, kill Deadpool. So he makes a run for it and decides to go back to the break room, the kitchen area where he got some snacks from earlier. And hey, that's snack machines and microwaves. So he throws every metal thing he can find into the microwaves because, and uses those as a weapon against the symbiotes because, yeah. But he continues to run, and Carnage is pissed at Man-Wolf now. And he's about to kill Man-Wolf when he realizes that... Oh, also thinking that he was dressed... He also thinks that Deadpool showed up dressed as a unicorn. But then he realizes that Deadpool actually is kind of a unicorn on account of there being 4 symbiote codexes in him. But he really says Deadpool is a fucking unicorn. Or friggin' Codex Lottery. So yeah, he is. But this is, now, yeah, Carnage is going after Deadpool. That's where the issue comes to its end. All right, that is it for this part of the roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal are in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.